This is Rebecca Sternbach. She's an occupational therapist with over 12 years of experience with a particular interest and passion in working with those living with Parkinson's disease, and she's here to keep us safe today, which is cool. After years of working in large hospitals and acute care and rehab settings, she transitioned on focusing on the community and home environment, where she received special training in therapy for Parkinson's, specifically LSVT and LSVT Big for Life, along with becoming Rocksteady Boxing certified. From there, she went on to further specialize in home modifications and home safety for those living with a disability and those wanting to age safely and independently in their homes. She now works at Jukebox Health, a full spectrum home modification and home safety company, serving as a business development representative on the clinical partnership team. Thank you so much for being here, Rebecca. We so appreciate it.
Of course, I'm happy to be here. Excited to see all of you. Kelly and Eden, would you like me to take questions as they come in or save them for the end?
We usually save them for the end.
Sounds good. And sorry, what'd you say?
I said I will monitor the chat so you don't have to worry about it.
Sounds great. And please, I want this to be, interactive afterwards. This is for you guys and making sure you're safe and comfortable in your own homes. So please don't hesitate to ask me questions at the end. They'll share my contact information, anything you would need help with afterwards. So I will start to share my screen. Oh, there's a mosquito. And make sure you guys can all see it.
Okay. And Rebecca has agreed to share her slides. So those will be available along with this recording probably tomorrow. Okay. You are good to go, Rebecca.
Okay, so I won't reintroduce myself because Eden has done so beautifully. So like she said, home design for safety, accessibility, and longevity. So she already described me a bit. I've worked at a few different hospitals. Right after, someone had an incident like a stroke or a fall in acute care, all the way to the rehab setting in the hospital, in the community setting, working with different group exercise classes specifically for people with Parkinson's. And then I realized how much, especially during the pandemic, it kind of solidified for me how much time we spend at home and how many people are unsafe in their own homes. I'll get into this, more within my slides, but I'm always just so eager to say it. Our homes were not made for us, especially for anyone that has any accessibility issues. So I saw a real need for once patients left the hospital or patients living with chronic conditions or neurodegenerative conditions to help them in the place that they love and the place that they want to be. And like Eden said, I now work at Jukebox Health, which is a home modification company for anyone that would like greater accessibility in their home, having trouble getting up and down the stairs, needs a different kind of bed or bathroom modification. So I'm going to get right into it. So like I kind of said before, your home should be designed for your health. They used to call homes Peter Pan homes because a lot of people wanted 2-level homes with a lot of stairs without railings, and people just didn't think about aging or having, their family members that might have accessibility or aging come visit them. So the problem is that 90% of people desire to age at home. I think most of you would like to age at home. I would like to age at home. I like my parents to age at home. Obviously, there are times when it's not appropriate and not safe. But I think if we plan, like you guys are, if you're joining this, then you're planning for the future, then you can stay in your home and be safe. So only 6% of homes are actually safe for all of us with, 2 railings, good lighting, non-slip. There's a lot of things that can make a home unsafe and very, very few. You just have to go to a city. I lived in New York for a while, then I'm near Philly, and tons of stairs, no railings, just very unsafe, barely any lighting in the homes. So you guys will probably start to notice it now that I'm talking about it more when you go places, how unsafe, not to scare you. But just when you're talking about it and you think about it, you say, oh my God, most homes don't have two railings, or they don't have, an easy to open door. Okay. So the studies have shown, and there's been a lot of studies now, as people want to age in their home and they're living longer, especially since the pandemic and the decrease in mobility as people are stuck at home. About 60% of at home falls can be reduced with the proper modification. This could be as little as grab bars and better lighting, to ramps, to stair lifts, and then, bigger things like a bathroom remodel, kitchen remodel. So a lot of pushback that I've gotten, working in the hospital, or I also had my own company before Jukebox, doing consulting and doing home modifications for different elder care attorneys and discharge planners. A lot of people think that by putting in a grab bar or a ramp, that it will be hard to resell, and that they'll lose money. And actually, what they're seeing now is people really actually look for these things. And I get things all the time, in my mail that say, if you know any homes that are one level, don't have, this, and this. So I think that it actually adds value, especially now there's a lot of generational living, happening more. So they could actually be more affordable, because if you're not going to, you know, assistive living, sorry, took me a minute, or you're not needing, 24/7 care because you have the modifications now, it actually saves you money. So these are just some basic costs. Everyone always likes these costs for how much it is to be in assisted living and skilled nursing. I get a lot of pushback sometimes that someone who lives in New York will be very different than someone who lives in Minnesota, and different than Arizona. This is kind of the average. They have upped the assisted living price, even from when I've done this presentation, for a few different groups last year. But, everything is going up. So the prices, I'm sure, might be a little bit different, but it just goes to show you that some people don't want to spend $1,000 on grab bars and lighting and, a seat in the shower, and it costs way more per month, if you don't make your home safe. So this is another slide that some people like. It kind of is just a cool visual of the most common types of modifications in each area. So I'll start with the bathroom. That is the most common request that we get from people. That is also where most falls occur. The bathroom is slippery. It's usually hot. So, people sometimes endurance issues, balance issues. So things that you might think of: grab bar, comfort height toilets, different transfer devices, handheld showers. And then there are some products that you might not even know about, like certain things that you don't have to actually take the step out of the shower. They do have some things called the shower buddy, where it's a seat that goes from the toilet to the shower, if you need a bit more assistance. Again, some things that you guys probably think about and see: railings, ramps, walkway leveling. So if there's a threshold that you get tripped up on. And then now there's a lot of smart technology, around falls, around controls, around lighting, and then, making things higher in your home, stair lifts, all the common ones. Okay, so I'm going to go into this a little bit further at the end, and because I'm sharing it with you guys, I did put links at the end so that it's helpful, because sometimes people say, oh, you can use this, this, and this to help fund it, but you don't really know where to go, how to get it. So I did link that at the end. So I'm just going to briefly cover this. Most modifications, unfortunately, are out of pocket. It is getting better. The insurance companies, the Medicare Advantage plans are really starting to understand that if their members don't have to go to the hospital or don't have to go to a rehab facility, they could save so much money by just giving each member $300-400 to pay for grab bars, toilet seat, razors. So we are starting to work with plans and see more plans include benefits for home modifications, which is really exciting and cool. Currently, it is mostly out of pocket, but long-term care insurance, some Medicare Advantage plans, and then besides that, grants through the city, Agency on Aging, community resource grants, and I'll get into a few more later. So some examples, we already went over some of them, but stairs is a really big thing. It's not just a stair lift or not. There's also adding 2 rails, which makes it much safer and much easier. Most people don't have lighting at the bottom and the top, and that can make a huge difference. If you get up in the middle of the night, the light fixture is only at the bottom, then that could be very unsafe. So contrast is huge. All of us, as we age, our contrast gets worse for everyone, and especially people living with neurodegenerative diseases. Their eyesight could be even worse sometimes. So the contrast, most of our homes, the stairs are the same color as the wall, as the railing. So even changing up the contrast can be a huge, huge thing. Something as little as a little bit of tape on the last stair, painting the railing can make all the difference between a fall or not. So this is an example of this. The contrast isn't great, but the treads on each step makes it safer because it provides some resistance, so it's not as slippery, and it's a different color. So now when you're walking up the stairs, you're able to see each stair better. And then a lot of times as we get older, or again with other conditions, depth perception might not be that great. So this again helps with depth perception. So instead of it being all the same color, you can see, okay, the next color is the next step I have to take. Okay, smart lighting. Lighting is one of the least expensive ways to make a big difference in your home. A lot of people don't have overhead lighting. They have a lot of lamps that you have to turn on manually. In the middle of the night, again, as we get older, our dexterity gets worse, especially if you have any weakness in one side or tremors, it's hard to turn. So even putting things in, and I'll go over it later, but, automatic plug-in nightlight is like $5 and could be, again, the difference between you getting up at night and falling and having to turn on the light at the other end of the room, because that happens a lot. People get up during the night, it's dark, they're disoriented, and that could lead to a fall. So smart lighting, like I said, reduces need to search for lights and make sure your pathways are lit. So I know I have 2 kids, and when I gave this presentation last time, my kid just cannot deal without me for 45 minutes. So they came in. But I have a nightlight on for them in the hallway, and I'm not to compare to kids. It's not what I'm saying at all. It's just, I think it's overall good safety. When I worry about them, when they get up in the middle of the night, they're disoriented, they won't be able to find the room or me. I just think it's a very good thing to have in the hallway for anyone in your home that's getting up and needs to go to the bathroom or it doesn't feel good or anything like that. And specifically, people living with Parkinson's, they need to take some time. For some people, when they first get out of bed, they first get up, they could be a little dizzy, depending on the medication scheduled, depending on if you're on diuretics. So sometimes you need some time to first just sit and get up, and those automatic lights will just come right on instead of you having to quickly get up to get to a light if you really have to go to the bathroom. Oh, it's not moving for me. Here, let's see. There we go. So I love these lights. These are actually stick-on lights, if you could believe it. They look so chic, and they look, they look really nicely done, and they're not expensive. You just buy them in a pack and you stick them on, and they're sensor lights. So this is, one way. A lot of people worry that things are going to look institutionalized or won't meet their decor. Everyone has different aesthetics. Some people don't really care and just want to make sure they have it for safety. Some people, want to live with it and they want their house to still look nice. So there are many different options. This is another one that you can tell is an automatic sensor. It's a little bit fancier. So in the kitchen, this is another place we hear a lot. I know specifically when I was in the hospital, a lot of people felt like they couldn't go home yet because they couldn't manage their kitchen. I hear a lot of people that forget to shut their stove off. They're not able to reach in their sink to turn the lever. It's, too hard to turn. So there's a lot of different ways that it can make that it can make it easier for you in the kitchen, such as motion sensor levers. And sometimes people say it's too hard to get to the back for the automatic sensor, but they do make sensors at the front. So if you are in a wheelchair or a walker, you don't have to reach as far, which could affect your balance. So they have automatic stove shutoffs. We do sell them on our website at Jukebox, but if you just put in any of these things, you could find many places that sell these. And then again, we hear, and I've seen with, with my patients, it's hard to reach up, it's hard to reach down. They lose their balance. They might be holding onto a walker or cane. So accessible shelving, like pull down shelving or shelving that comes out, or kind of condensing all your stuff to one area, are some smart ways to help you in the kitchen. Just another thing, you wouldn't think of a lazy Susan as a home modification or home adaptation, but it really makes a difference. Instead of, again, having to reach all the way in, a little simple thing like that can make a big difference for you. And so this is, someone that might have, again, weakness, arthritis, and you have to carry a heavy pot. Then you have to hold that and turn it on. If you have an automatic sensor or just one, you don't have to use both hands. This is the iGuard stove. This is, I would say, the most popular stove shutoff that we usually sell, and it connects right to your oven and your stove so that it will automatically shut off. And you could even connect it to like different apps and your caregivers. Someone, your daughter wants to make sure you're safe. Your husband, whoever it is, you're able to actually test. You're able to see if things are shut off. Again, a trash can that you could just wave your hand over or tap your foot on the bottom. Again, you might not think of this as a big, a big change to your home, but little things that are not expensive could make the difference. I've had many clients that have fallen because they're trying to get the mail and open the door, or throw something out and hold something and they lose balance. So sometimes these little things can make a big difference. So the living room area, again, I think, it's a very common area for falls, as a lot of people tell me they have trouble getting out of a couch or a chair after they've been sitting for a few hours, especially at night, if they don't have anyone around. So little changes here could be a really big change for you. Even sitting near the end of the couch where it has a handle could be, easier for you to get up than if you're sitting in the middle of the couch with nothing to hold on to. Anything higher, generally, as long as your feet are on the floor, will be much easier for you to get down to and to get up from. If it's really low, you're going to have a little bit more trouble getting up and getting down. They do make a lot of cool products, like something called a couch cane, or a chair cane that you put right under the seat, and it helps you get up. You can, if your couch or chair is really low and you love it, you could add a piece of wood under the cushions to just make it a bit firmer. And then they also sell furniture raisers. You could put little raisers under each part of your chair or your couch to make it better. And then clutter in general, I think, as we all get older, we have a lot of stuff. And it's really, really important. Again, this is a free way to make your home safer. It's really, really important to try to remove anything, which I know is easier said than done, any furniture, anything in the way that will really make it easier for you to navigate, whether it's just you walking or walking with a walker or a cane. Clearing out some unneeded furniture or items are very, very helpful. I see a lot of people putting clothes or magazines or shoes on the stairs. And I'm not going to say I never do it because that would be a lie. But it's just important to remember for all of us. Okay. So smart, smart technology. Again, I could spend 2 more hours talking about smart technology. There are tons of articles out there. There are tons of webinars specifically on smart technology now for your home. Everyone is using it. It doesn't even have to be someone that's aging or that's having any difficulty with mobility or cognition, it's just helpful for everyone. And a lot of things that aren't expensive, like, Alexa, Echo Dot, using your iPad to control things, using your voice to do the lights, the blinds. Again, doesn't mean you shouldn't be getting up and moving, because we don't want to discourage getting up and moving and doing all the things that you were doing. But if there are things that you are finding that you can't do anymore, that you still want to be able to do and control in a safe way, there are different ways to do it now. So just some examples. There's smart smoke and CO alarms now. So if someone, forgets to change them, these will tell you they need to be changed. It can alert your family. Smart door locks, smart doorbells. You guys, I'm sure, have seen Ring and Simply Safe, ways to be able to check who's actually at your door, so that you're being safe and you're not getting up every time someone comes to your door trying to sell you something. And now, especially I'm in South Jersey right now, and it is so hot. It's going to be, I think, 100 degrees tomorrow and about 99 today. And you make sure of safety, making sure that someone puts the air on, the heat. If they don't have, they make smart thermostats, again, that could alert your family or alert someone if it's dangerously hot or cold in a home. So bathroom, again, where we definitely see the most falls, we do the most modifications. A lot of people move because of bathrooms are, again, high tubs. Even if there is a walk-in shower, there's still a bit of a lip to walk in. The toilet seats are made for teeny people. I go into some public places sometimes and I just cannot believe how low the toilets are. So I think people don't realize that sometimes you can still modify your bathroom in not a crazy expensive way and avoid moving to an assisted living if that is your choice. So again, you're looking at as flat of an entrance as possible to get into the shower. If not, if you have a little, a little lip or a step, and that would be too expensive to remove, then adding a grab bar at the entrance to the shower, while you step over, could be a more cost-effective way. So there's not one way that fits all. There are many different ways. Getting a shower seat that goes in and out, so that you can get yourself in and not have to step over. Again, the toilet height, different accessories in the shower. They make some fancy, like corner shelf grab bars or towel holder grab bar, because a lot of people pull on the rack that holds the towel and then the wall comes down and they fall. So they make grab bars that also act as a towel holder. So this is just an example of kind of like a wet room where it's very open. So someone that might be, using a wheelchair or a special chair for the shower, or someone that really just doesn't want to have to worry about getting around steps, all of those things. This is kind of an open concept. There's a drain at one side to collect the water, still get privacy with the shower curtain, and then it's easy to get to the toilet. These are some nicer looking accessories that allow for a wheelchair to roll under, allow for you to get close up to the sink, and still look really nice. Just another example. We actually do these quite often, this kind of bamboo looking, again, it does not look like, someone that, really doesn't want their home to still be nice, but still is a little bit unsafe. There are ways to make it beautiful. And then what I really like about this is that the handheld shower is right next to the seat. A lot of times people put in handheld showers and they're not on a slider. So they're all the way up. So then they end up being on the floor. It gets everywhere. So it's, a lot of times you have to really make sure that the people that are designing these things for you have a background in accessibility. There's something called certified aging in place specialist, which I have, but you can have it also, as a social worker or a contractor. A lot of people say, well, I do ADA compliance, but that really isn't a thing because everyone is different and you need it to work for you. So you have to consider where you're going to shower, what you're going to need to reach for, all those things before spending a ton of money for something that doesn't work. Computer is moving slowly. I'm sorry. I don't know what's happening. Okay, so this is a cool project. We had someone that really did not go up and down their stairs anymore at all. They loved their bedroom. They loved their bathroom that had their shower upstairs, and they were just way too scared. So a lot of steps. So there were railings put in on all sides at every part, and then they felt safe to use their upstairs. This is that towel grab bar holder I was telling you that looks really nice, and you probably wouldn't even know it was a grab bar. But it's, much safer than pulling down the wall. So then we also have, again, on our website, but other places as well, there are some special products that you might not think of. So little things like rug tape to keep your rugs down so you're not slipping over it. Shirts that have Velcro or magnets if you're having trouble with fine motor. Yes, they sell the basic shower seats at CVS and Amazon, Walmart, but you might need a seat that has a back. You might need a seat that, has one side that can come off if you're transferring from a wheelchair. You might need one that goes in and out, or one that just goes in. So there are a lot of things to consider. So it's not to say that you can't buy some of these products on Amazon or the store. Just make sure you have some understanding or knowledge of, what you need. Whether speaking with an occupational therapist, like I said, a nurse, a social worker, even, a home accessibility, company, just make sure that you're understanding what you need and what you're getting. So just kind of a little example how our company works, but again, how other companies work when they go in and, assess your home, see any safety issues. We do a comprehensive home assessment. So we have occupational therapists that are specifically trained in accessibility. There are a lot of trainings that you can take to become an accessibility specialist. So that's why it's really important that wherever you are, you look up, that someone has that special training. We are actually national. We do virtual assessments and in-person home assessments. So we are able to help you anywhere, but there are a lot of wonderful OTs and qualified professionals out there. You could just, type in, I could put it in the notes and in the presentation, but a CAP specialist, which is, again, the certified aging in place specialist in your area, and you could find some. So after we do the home assessment, we actually have a software that we created that goes throughout the home, takes pictures, takes videos, and you could see where the problem is, and then we give you solutions with products. And then a personalized home safety report comes out of that. So again, it shows you all of the issues in the home and anything, all different types of products from very inexpensive to more expensive. And then what's really nice is that you can see the different recommendations within the products, and you could see, oh, I like this better. That one's more expensive. And you can kind of check out like it's in a shopping cart and actually change it yourself. So this is, again, the bathroom, but a different part of it, just showing there's the toilet seat raiser, there's the grab bar there, and a very common modification is a toilet paper holder grab bar, because a lot of times people go to grab onto the toilet paper. So one right near it is very helpful. So this, just kind of a few more pictures. So the picture on the right, it shows you the grab bar, the silver grab bar. These are really cool because they flip up and down. So a lot of people will say, I need it, but I'm living with my 4 kids or my husband who doesn't need it. We don't want a grab bar there all the time. It gets in the way. So these, you don't need like a wall or a surface. You can just mount it from the back, and it goes down and up. And those are really great. So these are some more pictures. Again, a handheld shower, grab bars. There's the couch cane I was talking about, and then a different set of lights that still look nice or also stick on. So this is just a quick case study. So a family called us. They were unable to enter or exit the home safely. They had a difficult time getting in and out of their tub and on their toilet. and their home was just not equipped for accessibility. They really felt like they were going to have to leave their home. But as you see, we made some adjustments with a ramp, a threshold ramp, because, you know, a big ramp isn't always needed. Sometimes it's just a few steps outside the home or within the home. And a portable threshold ramp, which is a lot less expensive, could do the trick. But after we made their home safer, they were able to get in and out of their home, which helped them to be part of the community, which is so important, to be with, you know, other people, do their things they liked. And then it increased safety in the home, in the bathroom, and in the shower. And there wasn't as much of a burden on the family. So this is what I was saying about the specific funding for home modifications. So on our website, I'm going to click it to show you. Hopefully I can get back. But if you click on, yeah, you see all my beautiful tabs. On jukeboxhealth.com, we have resources listed by state. So it's pretty cool because if you go to it, it says the cost of everything, and then it says what's covered by Medicare, what's covered by Medicaid, different waiver programs. So some of the states are still in a work in progress, and we're getting everything up, but they have kind of overall funding, and then it is again specific to state. Okay, let's see if I can find. There we go. Oh, I got back. And then some other things that we didn't talk about. There's a lot of funding for veterans. All different kind of grants for, you know, if someone was injured while serving or someone was just serving, there are all different amounts for home modifications, long-term care insurance. Rebuilding Together is an awesome nonprofit that helps people that need accessibility and they can't afford it. The American Parkinson Disease Association has been great with funding for home modifications. And if you click on that link, and again, I'll be sending this out, it takes you to the website where you can do your local chapter. And things that I don't know a ton about, but I know these are possibilities. Different things with your mortgage and, you know, reverse mortgage and home equity conversion mortgage. Again, that's not my expertise, but I know that's one option in paying for home modifications. And then Medicaid waiver programs. So within each, within each state, there are different home-based community support programs based on either disability or age. And they actually, if you're part of those programs, then there's a large amount of funding for home modifications. So that is it. I just talked for a while. So I hope I didn't go too fast, but I really like to leave extra time for questions because like I said, this is for you guys. Any questions, any thoughts? Sometimes we have really great like ideas from everyone. So like this really worked well for a pill cutter, or the couch cane didn't work, but this worked. So, you know, any kind of conversation is great. I'm going to stop sharing my screen again. And like Eden said, all of this will be sent to you. If there is a specific slide anyone wants me to go back to, I could start sharing again, but I'm going to stop sharing and I will send it over to you guys.
Really good first question. Someone asked, when should you start kind of thinking about this, looking into making changes into the home? Is there, I know there's not going to be some major like sign that says it's time, but what are some things you suggest that it's time to start thinking about it?
I mean, I would say now. I even think about that in my home, and I moved into a new home about a year ago. And, you know, I was looking at the lever handles, I was looking at steps, and my husband was like, we don't need this yet. I'm like, you never know. So I think it's always a good idea. And I would tell some of my patients or clients, even if you feel completely safe and you think that you have a lot of great modifications in your home, start to notice, like, is there a place that you find yourself tripping commonly? Is there a place where you're kind of we used to call it furniture walkers, where you're kind of holding on to a few things in your home to make sure you're safe? You have a really long hallway and you find yourself getting out of breath or, you know, having a little trouble with balance. That's where you maybe just start to, you know, think about, where do I spend the most time? Where should I start? You know, it could be a very overwhelming process to think, oh, I have to modify my whole home, or there's all these things wrong with my home. And it doesn't mean that you have to, you know, if you don't go down to your basement, you don't have to worry about the steps down there. If you don't go into your study anymore, you know, you don't have to worry. So I think kind of just getting an understanding of your home and kind of starting with the main rooms and seeing where you could make just even small changes is kind of a good way to go about it.
We have a lot of questions about, well, we have a few questions about slippery floors in the bathroom. Somebody asked, like, what is a non-slip bathroom floor surface? Or someone asked, like, how could I make the powder room tile floor less slippery if water spills? So this is
So, yeah. Good
something
question.
people are thinking
So,
about.
sorry. Yeah, there's a few things you could do. One thing is, we actually sell it again on our website, but we'll get it everywhere. There's something, the product that I've seen works best is something called Slip Doctor. And there's all different ways. They make it in different forms, but you could put it right on any floors and it makes it less slippery. They also, I didn't know about this until I started kind of doing this more, but if you go to a floor place, if you're going to be choosing a tile or a floor or anything like that, they actually have a coefficient, I think it's called, or like it gives you the grading on how slippery a floor is. So they actually make like anti-slip floors and they get a grading on how safe they are. So you can always kind of, if you are changing it, that's something that I would definitely try to look for. And then again, if there is an area like a rug that's slippery, obviously make sure it's down with tape. If you find yourself slipping a lot on the floor, then I would consider using a type of sealant or changing the floor out. And there's not like one specific one that's the best, because there's all different kind of wood floors that aren't actually wood that, could be less slippery, or some tiles that are a little bit less slippery. But I would just say to try to check for that grading and then to test it out.
This was actually something I wondered myself. I have a couple of Stairway questions. What were the light sticks? What were those powered by that you
Those are
stuck
those
on the?
are those are sensor lightings too.
It's like, what powers them? Because they obviously don't. They're not electric. Is it just battery powered? Like what?
Yes. Yes. Yep.
Like I wondered that too, and I saw it because I'm like, huh, it's not, because I'm like, obviously you
Yeah.
can't. It's not solar lit, and so I did
Yep.
wonder that. So
Yep.
it's all
Yep.
battery. Okay. And then somebody asked, what about a Stairway product? Like if you don't have a runner on the Stairway, do you have to just have a runner, or is there something like, for example, like can you buy, like you had those strips, because most staircases are probably about the same. Is that something you can almost like buy and stick on the stairs?
Totally. There's different things you could do. They sell them in like little white strips that you could put on. Or if you go to the store or order online, there's all different sizes you can measure, you can cut. If it's for the contrast and you just want to know where the step is, just using like bright color tape can sometimes just do the trick. But if you want it for the actual tread to make it less slippery, then you might have to cut it down a bit or order a different size.
Where can you get the Stairway sticks on lights?
So I'm gonna just keep saying it. You can get them on jukeboxhealth.com, but if you type in, I would do like Stairway safety treads or non-slip, 4 floors, anything like that, you should be able to find it.
Put in the chat the link for Jukebox Health, as well as a couple of others about certified aging in place. So I do encourage everyone to save the chat. If you click on the 3 little dots on the bottom of your chat, you can save it. Do you have, somebody answered this question, but somebody asked, are walk-in tubs worth the money? Do they have a leakage problem? And somebody said, well, it's not so much that they leak as much as like you're stuck in the tub while it's draining and you get cold.
So I will say that we tend to not love walk-in tubs because of all of those things, that they actually require more water than regular tubs. They are not the safest still. Then yes, again, it might be hard to get out. Tub cots are a great solution because you don't need a full bathroom remodel, walk-in shower. You could do a tub cot for, sometimes a little bit under, depending your tub, like 500 to 2,000 to do a tub cut. and just the part where you would walk in. And I find that to be a much safer and easier, way to do it. There are, really good brands, and if it's installed very well and you're using it for safety, but you love to take baths and you feel comfortable and there's someone around, then I think a walk-in tub could be an option, but it's not something that we ever recommend.
And somebody did ask about, do you have any suggestions for guardrails to keep from rolling off of the bed?
Yeah. So, I mean, again, there's all different types. If someone is really concerned, you could put two together, but you do want to make sure that that's not like restraining someone in bed. So, it's a little bit case by case if there's someone with you to make sure. Even, they make mats next to the bed that if you do fall off, at least it's, a little bit softer. But there are different railings that we sell on our website and other railings. You want to just make sure they're very firm. You don't really want the ones that go under the mattress because those can move. So you want the ones that are really mounted to the bed. And, certain ones you could move away, and some of them you could, keep there. So again, it's hard to recommend, per person, their needs, what type of bed it is. But it just kind of thinking about what you need. And then I would just say, looking at the different aspects of it, or asking an OT or a certified aging in place specialist or a nurse or a social worker, someone that might have had experience putting them in other homes.
I was curious about, so if somebody were to meet with someone like you, what are some questions you would ask? Because I want people to almost start thinking about them. Because otherwise, I feel like chances are when you ask the question, it's like, what does trouble me versus like being aware of it. So it's almost like I want people to start thinking and maybe jotting down notes, like you started to say, if you notice at the end of the hallway, you're getting winded. What are you?
Yeah. So I would say the number one thing we want to know is, have you had any recent falls? And big thing here is that people think of falls at this like catastrophic event where you can't get up. A fall could be even like you losing your balance or having to lean back on your bed when you first get up. And those little loss of balance or those little falls usually indicate something. So you might want to talk to your doctor, talk to your family. I've been falling a bit more, I'm okay, but maybe I should start thinking about, should I put a fall detection, type of technology in? Should I add a grab bar here? So I think definitely falls. If you are having any changes in medication, if you're having any trouble sleeping, trouble with mobility, kind of any changes in your routine. So I think those are like the few things. I think medication is huge. As we know, medications could have huge effect on how we feel, any side effects. So, we really usually want to know, any medications that might be affecting, how often are you falling, kind of what's important to you. And where do you spend most of your time, right? Like if it's really important for you to get in and out of the house easily, and opening the storm door and then the other door is heavy, maybe that's where you focus. Maybe you take off the storm door. Maybe you add a grab bar to the front door so that it helps you get in. Maybe you add a little seat next to the front door so you can put down your mail or something. So kind of just start thinking about like what's most important to you. Some people might have a bathroom on the first floor and the second floor, and they really want to make the first floor more accessible. So maybe you're going to think about adding a half shower down there, but maybe you really want to have the bathroom upstairs that already has the shower and already has your bedroom. So maybe then you want to think about a stair lift. So there's a lot of different ways to modify. So I think just really thinking about what's important to you, what you're having trouble with. I saw someone put about vision, kind of thinking about what's the hardest for you. And yes, OTs definitely help with vision. That is a huge, huge area of ours. And again, there's a lot of things you could do around vision. If you're having trouble seeing, you could get products that, that ring, products that talk to you. You could put stickers on things to feel it. There's a lot of different ways. Again, that could be a whole other presentation about low vision and modifications. But you know, if an OT comes out and does a home assessment, they will definitely look at all of that. Your hearing, your vision, your sensation, even. Sometimes people can't tell that something's too hot. And there's ways to make sure the shower turns off or the sink turns off at a certain temperature. So I guess just thinking about, you know, the most important activities during the day, what you would like to get out of, you know, being safer in your home, and then any areas that you're having a bit of trouble.
Kind of love this question in part because I do love the person who asked it, but I guess I'm picturing her using the stairgate. Could you use a stair lift to send the items up and down if you're not in the lift? So in other words, just so she doesn't have to carry, like she might not need to go upstairs, but she doesn't have to carry them upstairs.
Yes, you can actually. You can. I wouldn't suggest like spending $3,000 just to do that, but you know, it is, if you're going to be getting up and down a lot, and that is affecting your mobility, and that's really important to you, and that's where you want to spend your money, you know, or you use a one that's already been used and it's less expensive. But you can. But again, with stair lifts, I think a lot of people think they're for everyone, and they're not. You want to make sure that, you know, you there's really good cognition to make sure to, you know, buckle yourself in to be able to get out, to not leave it jutting out, and not fold it up, so that if you forget and walk into it, you know, your knees need to have enough room to turn. So again, that's why I kind of, you know, stress that you have someone that's really knows what they're doing. Now with Amazon and the internet, you know, we all do it, but make sure that the items that you're ordering and putting in your home are really what you need and are really safe.
My dog agrees with all of this. What kind of like could an OT help or someone else with the the coordination of the technology, the smart technology
Yes.
and everything?
Yeah, I will say, like, you know, OTs in general, and even some PTs, but OTs in general were taught to kind of like adapt the home, whether that be technology or equipment or kind of brainstorming. So if you have someone, you know, that's in the home and they're, you know, whether it's an OT or a PT and they're working with you or assessing, I think that that is definitely something they could help you with. They also make different companies, you know, even like in Pennsylvania, they have something called Tech Owl, where, and a lending library of tech, different tech. They'll come out, they'll see what works for you, especially with low vision. There's so many resources. They'll come out and kind of set it all up for you. So a lot of nonprofits for that as well, if you look in your area. And then the companies could help you too. Like if you know, want a smart lighting or an automatic door opener and you find one, the companies will come out and do education, and help you as well.
One thing I was very curious about when you showed that thing that turns, how does that turn off the stove or the oven? How does that work?
It's connected, I think, through like electrically. I don't know exactly, to be honest. I can get back to you, but I know it's like hooked up to something that shuts the stove on and off. And you
I'm
could even use
because
it
I'm
for
like,
a
that's so
barbecue
interesting.
outside, I believe. People have used it for a barbecue outside as well.
Ask, does the home assessment, is there any tax deduction because you're trying to, in a way, save money by staying in the home? Because I mean, it does
So,
make sense that if you think about it, if you had to get on Medicaid, that would cost a lot more
yes.
than.
So the home assessment itself is not like, you know, it's covered by Medicare, actually, a home assessment. There are companies that will charge for the home assessment, but it is actually a Medicare billable service. An OT can go out and do a home assessment and it's Medicare billable, or, you know, out of pocket, like deductible, it will be paid for. Where you get tax deduction is sometimes the actual equipment and making modifications, then you get tax deductions. So that is usually a thing that people don't realize, that they can get tax deductions from actually putting in the different modifications.
Not sure what this is, so I hope you do. Someone asked, what do you think of bathtub lifts? Can you
So what I
explain what
think
that is?
they're talking about, yeah. So what I think they're talking about, which I've seen people request it, is people really want to take baths, really want to. It might feel either really good or it feels, really good for their body and it helps with pain. They actually make ceiling lifts that take someone in and out of the bath. Or you could, use a portable lift that will get you into the bath. I think that's what they mean. Not positive.
Somebody else asked, I mean, do you have strong opinions about like we try to modify versus remodeling first? Or are you like, well, sometimes things just really do need to be um just redone. Like we can't just modify this. And yes, she was
Yeah.
talking about a portable lift.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, I know people really, enjoy that, that bath sometimes. And, they tend to be a bit more expensive. You have to see if they work within your tub and the space. But if a bath is what's very, very important to you, there's different lift companies that are specific to ceiling lifts, different track, they go from the bathroom to the bedroom. If that's what's really important to you and you know how to use it or someone knows how to use it and you can get in and out, then I think, why not? It's again a little more expensive. But if that's what's important to you, then I think that is let's see. So there are definitely wheelchairs that roll into the shower. And some are very inexpensive. Some even that go right over like a little bit of a lip. There's a system called the Shower Buddy, which I could just type in, which is a great, great product. And we do sell some of them on our website. But there are a lot of different types of wheelchairs that you could use in the bathroom that even go from the toilet to the shower or just roll into the shower. That's a less expensive way than redoing your whole bathroom. And again, between remodeling and modifying, it just again depends. Like, can't say one or another. If like your house is so inaccessible that you have to, really do all these things to it and you want to stay there and you think it will add value, then you might want to make some changes if you want to stay there for a long time. Or if oh, I'm going to be moving in a few years and I just want some more easier solutions that are more portable, then you kind of think that way. So, and again, if you have an OT that comes out and does an assessment or a certified aging in place specialist, they would kind of take the guessing away for you. And they might say, okay, it would cost 25,000 to do an elevator, or 5,000 for a stair lift, or putting a bathroom on the first floor versus putting a new shower on the second floor. So I think it's really just figuring out what's most important and then seeing the cost benefits.
He's saying like he can't turn around in his kitchen. So like that would be in his wheelchair.
Yeah. So, that would be needing to, actually probably get rid of something, or figure out, maybe transferring to a slimmer wheelchair. But again, if anyone is interested, they could contact me. There is a form on our website. I could also send it to you, where it's like a request for either virtual or in-person assessment. But again, if that's something that's really hard for you and you can't turn and you want to find different solutions, then I think it's really important to contact someone that could help you with that.
Somebody did want to contact you. We've put your contact information. It will be available. But what does that look like? Like you just would do something virtually. What does that look like?
So basically, I think we're in about 12 states in person now. So let's say someone is living in Pennsylvania and they want to do this. On the website, there's a main number or there's a form you could fill out. You would call the main number. We have care coordinators. We have 3 of them now. We're growing. They get the information from you, what's going on, where do you live? And then we have over 40 OTs now throughout the country in person. And then we also could do virtual anywhere. So, we set up a time and a date for an OT to go out or do it virtually. If it's in person, then it would be going throughout the home, taking pictures, seeing what's going on, and then making recommendations. If it's virtually, we usually ask for pictures before, after, and then again, we go around through the home, still ask questions, medication, what's going on, all of that. And then in our software, we type up the report, and then it's no cost. You get the report, we can go over it with you if you need, and then you could actually check out right there if you want certain products. And then we also have installers throughout the country. So again, if you're in PA or you're in Florida or Massachusetts, we have different installers and OTs in those areas. So we could do all of that for you, the OT, the installer, or you can get the report and say, okay, I don't want to do anything right now, but it's good to have for the future. So that's kind of the way it would look a little bit.
Message: someone can't find a wheelchair or walker narrow enough to go through the bathroom doors to the bathrooms.
So there, yes, we have OTs in California. So in that case, there's different ways you could increase the width of doors. This is also very common. So, depending on what the wall is like, a lot of times doors have hinges on them. And if there's hinges that are much narrower. So sometimes there's like this much of a space. You can get ones that are very inexpensive that are only this much. Sometimes you could remove your door frame. Sometimes you could change it to a pocket door. So usually, unfortunately, if you can't find any wheelchairs or walkers that will fit through, you're going to have to modify that door. So, it's not cheap if you're doing, if you're, cutting it out and changing it, but if it's something that you can't get into your bathroom, then I think, it's definitely worth it. If you can, or if you can, finding a grant or funding, because, you want to make sure you're able to get into your bathroom safely.
Almost out of time, so I do want to remind everybody we put several links in the chat. I encourage you to save your chat. There is the 3 little dots next to the happy face on the bottom. So you can have Rebecca's contact information as well as the Jukebox Health website. We also put in the information for the certified aging in place, the CAPS. So I just want you to have all that. So I want you to save that. This was excellent. I'm so grateful that you're here to just keep everyone safe. Thank you so much for giving your time today. As always, at PMD Alliance, we have a tradition, our wave of gratitude. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much. Thank you all for being here. If you have any questions, comments, or anything, then you can get in touch with me or ask them. I appreciate your time. Hope you have a good day.
Have a good evening. Have a good afternoon, everyone.
Bye.